Who are the best 5 men's national teams in the Concacaf region? It's time for my power rankings after the November window. At number 5, it's Canada. Yes, still. Now, Canada had an embarrassing loss at home. That means they'll have to go the hard way, winning a playoff game in March to make the 2024 Copa America. Despite the utter collapse in Toronto, Canada still has a fair amount of goodwill built up from that 2022 qualification run. While they don't have manager John Herdman anymore and are in a weird state of transition, they do still have Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, Stefan Eustáquio. At some point you have to think that Canada will turn it around. It just hasn't happened yet, and what they do in this interim will go a long way toward determining if Canada is a continued power in the region or if we look back at 2022 as a weird fluke. My number 4 team is Jamaica. Now, Jamaica is the team that put that embarrassing defeat on Canada. You would have liked to see them win in Kingston and make things even less complicated for themselves, but they're going to Copa America and they're in the Nations League Final Four. With Demarai Gray fit for the second game and not for the first, you see how important one player or 2 players sometimes can be to the Reggae Boys. When their best players are available, when their best players are happy, it's a team that can compete for the best in CONCACAF. And when that isn't the case, which has been the situation too often in the last decade, they don't have success. But right now, let the good times roll for Jamaica. They've got a good coach, the same players who are very talented keep coming in. It seems like things are going in the right direction when they need to be. Let's talk about number 3, Panama. Panama is actually the only team in this listing that didn't struggle at all in November. Not only did they beat Costa Rica in Costa Rica, again in a competitive game, but they took care of business in the second leg as well, winning at home. They're the Gold Cup finalist, runner-up. And with 2024 bringing the Nations League Final Four and Copa America, Thomas Christensen and his squad are going to be eager to show that Panama is not just a decent team in CONCACAF, that they can compete with the best. Speaking of the top 2, number 2 is Mexico. Oh, Mexico. El Tri had a really difficult November window. They needed a late goal from Edson Alvarez in the second leg of their series against Honduras to set up a penalty shootout. They needed a little help there too. Maybe this spot is because of Mexico's reputation. Maybe they should be down even further, but they keep getting results. Not only that, but while there are legitimate criticisms about what Jimmy Lozano, the manager, did in the last couple of windows, there's a confidence that he brings. This team is the Gold Cup champion. So even if Mexico stumbled in Tegucigalpa, I think you still have to give El Tri the number 2 spot. And if you haven't worked it out by now, the number 1 team for CONCACAF right now is the United States. Now, the United States isn't the Gold Cup champion, and they did lose in the November window, but they did so after throttling Trinidad and Tobago in Austin and knowing that they'd have a big lead going into the second leg. Greg Berhalter still has plenty of stuff to figure out, but they didn't have Christian Pulisic or Tim Weah this window. I think those are pretty key absences, and ultimately they got through November without taking too much damage. Why are they still the number 1 team? When they're at full strength, no one has been able to beat them. They won Nations League with their best roster twice. They had the best 2022 World Cup of any team in the CONCACAF region. And the sheer amount of talented players playing at top clubs in Europe mean that US fans have plenty of reasons to be excited, even if their expectations are getting higher and higher and higher. So what did I mess up? Let me know in the comments if I was unfair to your team, and if you made it this far, make sure to give me a follow as well for more from the CONCACAF region.